Meet Sarah, an ordinary woman living in a bustling city. Her days are filled with the familiar routine of work, household chores, and endless errands. On the surface, her life might seem like it's running smoothly, but beneath that exterior, Sarah faces a daily struggle that many of us can relate to. Each morning, Sarah wakes up feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks on her to-do list. The pressure to succeed at work, maintain relationships, and keep up with the fast pace of life weighs heavily on her. Despite her best efforts, she feels like she's always falling short, always one step behind. At work, Sarah is constantly met with new challenges. Her boss expects perfection, her colleagues are always ahead of her, and the workload never seems to ease. She starts each day with the intention to give her best, but by the time she gets home, she's exhausted, drained, and discouraged. The same tasks she thought she'd finish remain unfinished, adding to the pile for the next day. Outside of work, Sarah's personal life isn't any easier. She struggles to find time for herself, let alone for friends and family. Her social life has become almost non-existent, as she constantly feels too tired to engage. Even small tasks, like cooking dinner or doing laundry, feel like monumental hurdles. As the days go by, the toll of this relentless routine begins to show. Sarah starts losing sleep, not just because of the demands of her day, but because of the stress that keeps her mind racing at night. Her health begins to decline, and her motivation dwindles. Yet, amidst this struggle, something within Sarah refuses to give up. There's a small voice inside her that believes things can change. One day, as she sits in her tiny apartment, Sarah catches a glimpse of a quote she had framed years ago. Little by little, one travels far. Could it be that she's been looking at her life all wrong? That perhaps the answer isn't in trying to do everything at once, but in taking small, consistent steps. This thought lingers in her mind as she drifts off to sleep, offering a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she can find a way out of this overwhelming cycle, one small step at a time. One day, as Sarah was on her way home from another exhausting day at work, she heard a voice within herself that she had long ignored. It was a small voice that always believed her life could change, that she could overcome the challenges she faced. But until that moment, the voice had been drowned out by the daily noise of life, leaving her feeling powerless. When she arrived home, Sarah sat down on her sofa and looked around her small apartment. She felt the inevitable physical and mental exhaustion, the unfinished tasks, the unfulfilled dreams, and the fading hopes. All of these swirled in her mind, making her feel trapped in an endless cycle. However, amidst this confusion, she remembered something she had read years ago, something that had once inspired her, but had long been forgotten. Little by little, one travels far. This phrase suddenly popped into her mind, sparking a deep curiosity. Sarah began to ask herself if perhaps she had been viewing her life from the wrong perspective. Maybe she had been too focused on the big goals she wanted to achieve, neglecting the power of the small steps that could lead her there. This idea started to plant a seed of hope in her heart. The next day, with renewed determination, Sarah decided to conduct a small experiment. Instead of trying to accomplish everything at once, she chose to focus on one small task each day. It might be just a small step, but she wanted to see how far it could take her. She decided not to rush, but to live each day more mindfully and meaningfully. Each day, Sarah began with one simple goal. Perhaps just tidying up her desk or taking time to read a book she had set aside. These small tasks, though seemingly insignificant, began to give her a sense of accomplishment that had previously eluded her. Little by little, she started to feel a change. Her work became more organized, her mind clearer, and most importantly, she began to regain the enthusiasm she had lost. Sarah realized that success doesn't always come from sudden giant leaps. Sometimes it comes from the courage to keep moving forward, one small step at a time. And in this realization, she found the true power of persistence. That even though the world around her seemed too vast to conquer, she could make a difference with every small step she took. As Sarah continued her experiment, she began to notice subtle yet profound changes in her life. The small steps she had committed to taking each day started to build momentum. What once seemed like insurmountable challenges gradually became manageable. Her life, once filled with chaos and overwhelming stress, began to take on a new rhythm, a rhythm driven by consistency and purpose. Each morning, Sarah would wake up with a sense of clarity and determination. She no longer felt the crushing weight of her to-do list. Instead, she approached each day with a simple plan: to do one thing and to do it well. Whether it was completing a work task, organizing a part of her home, or taking time for self-care, Sarah dedicated herself fully to each small action. Over time, these actions began to compound. The clutter in her home started to disappear, her work performance improved, and she found herself reconnecting with friends and family. The relationships she once feared were slipping away were now being revitalized by her consistent efforts to stay in touch, even if just with a quick message or a short phone call. Each of these small steps, insignificant on their own, began to weave together into a tapestry of progress. But it wasn't just the tangible changes that made a difference. It was the shift in Sarah's mindset. She began to understand that success and fulfillment weren't about achieving massive goals overnight. They were about showing up every day, doing the best she could, and trusting that these small efforts would eventually lead to bigger changes. As the weeks turned into months, Sarah's confidence grew. She started setting slightly larger goals, still anchored by her commitment to consistency. She began to take on challenges at work that she once shied away from, knowing that she could tackle them one step at a time. Her health improved as she integrated small, healthy habits into her daily routine, like taking a short walk each day or drinking more water. And perhaps most importantly, she began to feel a renewed sense of hope and purpose. Sarah's journey was far from over, but she had discovered something invaluable: the power of persistence. It wasn't about being perfect or making huge strides every day. It was about showing up consistently and trusting that each small effort was a step in the right direction. With this newfound understanding, Sarah knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she had the tools to face them. She had transformed her life not through extraordinary feats, but through the quiet strength of persistence, a strength that anyone, anywhere can tap into. Sarah's story is a testament to the incredible impact of persistence. What began as a small experiment in her daily routine blossomed into a complete transformation of her life. The secret wasn't in grand gestures or monumental changes. It was in the small, consistent efforts she made every single day. Through her journey, Sarah learned that the path to success and fulfillment doesn't require giant leaps, but rather a series of small steps taken with intention and determination. Each step she took, no matter how insignificant it seemed at the time, contributed to a greater whole. It was this realization that empowered her to keep moving forward, even when the road seemed long and the progress slow. Sarah's story is a reminder for all of us that we have the power to create change in our lives, no matter how overwhelming our challenges may seem. By focusing on the small things we can do today, whether it's a single task, a moment of self-care, or a step toward a larger goal, we can slowly but surely move toward the life we desire. So, as you go about your day, remember Sarah's journey. When you feel overwhelmed or stuck, take a deep breath and focus on one small step you can take. Trust in the process and know that these small efforts, when done consistently, can lead to big changes. It may take time, and the progress might not always be visible right away, but with persistence, you can transform your life one step at a time. If you found Sarah's story inspiring, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving this video a like. Remember, change begins with a single step. What will yours be today?